to a 26, 259 pass yards and a TD. It was also John Gruden's 100th career win as an NFL coach. A happy ending to a tumultuous week for the Raiders. Here's Gruden and Carr.
As much as people talk about it, I mean, my God. I mean, I feel like someone's smashing my temple on the side of the head. Get over it, man. It's over. You know, we were good this preseason without him. You know, we're going to be fine without him. And we wish him the best. But, you know, we gave it a shot. And now New England gets their turn. Good luck to them. But I just can't, I can't deal with it anymore, really. Sorry.
Let's get the elephant out of the room. Antonio is no longer with us, and we love Antonio. We wish him the best. The guys in this locker room, the guys that competed during training camp, all off-season, we grinded, we came together, we're a family. And this family is pretty special, and I'm glad to be the quarterback a part of it.
Derek Carr, incredible on the field yesterday. Very classy in that answer. We welcome in our former NFL quarterback, Dan Orlovsky. Always good to see you. How we doing?
Good to be here. Great.
Max, I'm going to start with you, Stephen A, actually. Do you feel like this game was more about good Raiders or bad Broncos?
Bad Broncos. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from Derek Carr, who I thought was sensational last night and deserves a lot of kudos. But this Broncos defense, you know, it has me thinking about this team and the fact that we watched them win the Super Bowl, beat Cam Newton in 2015. They haven't been to the playoffs since. They went 9-7 the next season. And then, obviously, they've been mired. They were mired with Vance Joseph as their head coach the last 2 seasons. Didn't get it done before Vic Fangio took over this year. You expected their defense to be better with Vic Fangio in there. But on 2 of their scoring drives, they converted 7 or 8 first downs. And they were picking apart the Denver Broncos defense. And when I'm looking at a guy like Derek Carr, as talented as I know he is as a thrower, consistency is his problem, not talent. Consistency is his problem. But they had Derek Carr out there last night looking like the second coming of Kenny Stabler then. I mean, he was just picking apart the Denver Broncos, you know, piece after piece after piece. And obviously, you know, when you consider the fact that you got a defensive guy in Fangio that's now the head coach of the squad, I certainly expected better from them. Yeah, Joe Flacco, you know, didn't look that great, didn't look awful. He seemed to have a nice connection with Cortland Sutton. I believe that's his name. I forgot the name of the dude that dropped that touchdown pass, hit him right in the chest. He dropped the touchdown pass. That might have changed the course of the game for the Denver Broncos. They possibly could have won this game had he not dropped that touchdown pass. So that much is true. But I definitely expected them overall to look better. It wasn't catastrophic. It wasn't like they were the Miami Dolphins getting trounced 59-10 by the Ravens or anything like that. But I didn't expect Oakland earlier on to be picking apart Denver the way that they did in that first half. And that is what I thought turned me off. That's what stood out to me more so than anything else.
This was good Raiders. You got to give credit where credit's due. Look, last year when I saw Derek Carr quit, and he wanted to fight me in the octagon, right? Players get very sensitive when you say stuff about, like, quitting. But listen, I see it. You can only take so many body shots before you want to give. That goes for anyone in any sport, any walk of life. And they went from having a great offensive line a couple years ago to a situation that wasn't so great last year. And it looked to me early. I admit it. I didn't watch the Raiders late in the season, but it looked to me early like Carr didn't want it, and I said it. He looked great last night. And you have to give him credit. Vic Fangio, where did he make his bones, right? Like, what's he known as? And Carr carved them up. And that's saying a lot. The reason you have to say good Raiders rather than bad Broncos is the distractions. I don't care what Gruden says. I don't care what Carr says. That AB was causing in this offseason were legendary. Like, this is one of the off seasons we'll always talk about for a team. And he never even got on the field in a regular season game with the team at all, ever. Antonio Brown never played for the Raiders and caused this enormous distraction. And the quarterback, who is on the hot seat, playing for his career really at this point as a starter or franchise-level guy, comes out and with all those distractions, carves up a team with a guy leading them, you know, from the sidelines who has a defensive mind. Carves them up, got the ball out quick. Now, Josh Jacobs had a lot to do with that, but that's not a knock against the quarterback. If you give a talented quarterback a running game, he's only going to look so bad. And Carr looked really good considering the circumstances. You have to say that was good Raiders last night.
It's good Raiders and I would say runaway good Raiders. I mean, when we judge performances, a lot of times it's based upon expectation. And Stephen A. used the word, I did not expect the Broncos to look a certain way. Everybody expected the Broncos to win that game last night because, one, Vic Fangio coming over, and two, everything that had led up to this past week or couple weeks with the AB situation. The Raiders had every excuse not to play well. They had every excuse to go out and lay an egg and not perform at the level that was going to be good enough because of everything that has gone on off the field with this football team. Yet they came out in many ways dominated this football game. Something that no one's talking about is the physicality that they dominated this football game in on both sides of the football. Remember, the Denver Broncos were 1-2 when it comes to combination guys in sacks last year with Bradley Chubb and Von Miller. 0 last night. They hung a goose egg on them. So the fact that they were able to go physically dominate this football team in the midst when they should not have been able to do it is Dan, runaway good Raiders.
Dan, do you think that was good? That like you say physically dominate, but to me, I give Carr credit because he was getting the ball out so fast.
No, I mean Derek Carr played lights out. There was no Derek Carr looked confident. I mean he was getting guys the ball early, putting it up high, accurate with throws. That throw to Tyrell Williams, the touchdown on the crosser, that's thrown over like 3 or 4 different sets of hands. We did not see Derek Carr that last year like that, or the year before. A confident quarterback, a dominant both offensive and defensive line. And again, it's because the expectation was Bradley Chubb and Von Miller are probably going to run this football game, and Vic Fangio, the defensive mind, is going to come over. And, man, the Raiders have had a lot to deal with off the field. That's why the expectations were they wouldn't play well, and they played so well.
But, Dan, but here's why you have me feeling even more adamant that it was bad Broncos. And here's why. Because the kind of things that you pointed out about the Oakland Raiders, here's where I beg to differ. You're on your home turf. This is your last season in Oakland. And this is the black hole and the mystique of the silver and black. There are usually people throughout history that were clamoring to be a part of that organization, clamoring to wear the silver and black and play for the Oakland Raiders. And here was a dude that was celebrating, in a clownish fashion to be gone. All right. Sure. So in anything, that would kind of rally the troops. I thought it was very, very predictable that they would come out like gangbusters, ready to, to do what they can to wreak havoc and what have you. I expected Denver in a divisional game to have an answer for that, not to the point where you could potentially win and say, of course you could lose or whatever. But I didn't expect them to get pushed around, particularly earlier in the game, the way that they did. I expected them to have a response to that challenge, particularly on the defensive side of the ball now that Vic Fangio was their coach, and I didn't see that.
But that's even my point. My point, the expectation was that Denver probably was a better football team. And in many ways, maybe right now, a better head coach that comes very decorated from his time in Chicago. And they were more talented and that they could weather the emotional storm or surge that the Raiders might have from the AB situation. The game wasn't even close. The game was dominated by Oakland.
Dan,
dominated by Oakland.
Dan, let me ask you this. Swap quarterbacks. Who wins?
I still say Oakland because the way they dominated the line of scrimmage. Derek Carr, again, played great. And Joe Flacco, first of all, the way Denver called the game did not make a lot of sense play calling-wise for Joe Flacco. Flacco did not look good. Derek Carr looked outstanding. But the way they owned the line of scrimmage, that's why it's such a... And that's something that transfers, right? That is usually, in football, not a one-week thing. Usually don't dominate the line of scrimmage 1 week and then struggle with it the next week. That's why we've got to praise the Raiders. In the midst of the storm, that they settled in and won a game that in many ways, because of the variables, they shouldn't have.
One more thing. You're saying they get dominated. I would remind you that when that cat Deshaun dropped that touchdown pass, they were down 14-6.
Sure.
I mean, you catch that touchdown pass, you got yourself a game.
We're out of time there, guys. They got a tough test this week, though. They're going to face the Chiefs. That'll be a good game. Dan, I'm so with you. One word came to mind last night, resiliency, both on and off the field. Really impressive job by Oakland. When we come back, Tom Brady seems confident about his new teammate, Antonio Brown, but are Max and Stephen A.